Some 40 years in the desert too.
I'm all the way from Second Samuel, and they're still not.
Should they listen?
But it's just. Sorry, everybody. I had some technical problems. I'm having to reset some stuff.
We do it now. Well, yeah, yeah, he still takes care of us, but we still do it today, every day. The only thing we don't do is Christians are that us. Yeah, they're obedient. They're disobedient and denying. Which is right.
All right.
Are we good?
I don't know. Brian, can you see it?
Yeah, it's up now, but
All right.
it's thinking.
Yeah, that it's probably trying to catch up.
I see it.
Hold on, I've got to resend the link to about 10 people.
Oh my.
Brian, you already got it, so
Yeah.
we have several who can't attend. So I send a link directly via text message, and I think that's everybody.
Okay.
It's yeah. And you said it's working now, Brian?
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, I had to reset PowerPoint because I changed the.
It's doing the thinking thing still.
All right, let's look
Okay,
at it.
it's in.
It's working?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so hello everybody in YouTube land. We had some difficulties, but looks like we may be beyond it now.
Thinking again.
I've got full internet strength here. There's nothing more I can do. So, and I'm going to keep going.
Yep.
Okay, so we talked about the four horsemen bringing death, pain, suffering upon the earth, but only outside of the borders of Israel. Seal 5, when we open that one, or when it was opened by Christ, we see that there are martyrs under the throne in heaven. Now, that part I've never fully been able to wrap my head around as to why there's this group of martyrs underneath the throne, and they don't seem to have their white robes at that point for some reason, which everything in the Bible seems to indicate that we get our white robe when we get to heaven. So why don't this group of people, have a white robe? I can't answer that. I can't find anything that makes any sense. In Seal 6, when I ended last week, we have a major event on the earth. The sun is black and the moon is like blood. Islands and mountains are just moved. It's kind of interesting how if you read it like in the ESV translation, and then you read it in an amplified translation, it just simply says that they were moved or they were destroyed, not necessarily just removed. It kind of goes. And I stopped right there. We were getting a little long, and I wanted to leave it like on this just gigantic climax, because the next seal is almost anticlimactical. Now, one thing I want you to try to remember, I got to remember I'm walking now, so I got to stay in scene, is at the very beginning in chapter 4 and some in chapter 5, John describes heaven. And if you remember all the colors, there was lightning going on, there was peals of thunder, there were multitudes singing, there was just so much stuff going on that it was just crazy. I mean, just it had to have been sensory overload. My dad describes a story. He was up in the Himalayas one time. This is Bill. You guys know him. And there was a young little boy up there. He had his little, of course, Walkman with the little earphones. Were big at the time. And he was listening to some music, whatever it was, a concert or something, some classical music or something. And he took the headphones off because the kid was interested. And he put those headphones on that kid. And the kid passed out. Sensory overload. He'd never heard anything like that, right? Just sensory overload. The guide was like, look, you could have killed him because it was so dramatic, so much. So think of that. That's what John is going through right now. Just sensory overload. It has to be to some degree. Okay? And now we're going to open up the seventh seal. Christ is going to open up that seventh seal. And so we see this, and it's actually in chapter 8, verse 1. When the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven for about a half an hour. Have you ever been someplace where it was nothing?
Yes.
It's scary.
As,
Yep.
I mean,
Has anyone had the opportunity to go to the memorial at Pearl Harbor for the Arizona Memorial?
Yes.
As soon as you walk into that room, I mean, it's designed to mute sound anyhow, kind of the same thing. When I was decommissioning my first submarine, there's always something inside a submarine going. It's fans, the buzz from the lights. There's other people walking around. We were going through decommissioning. The submarine was dead. I know that sounds hard to believe, but those of you that have been on a ship or been around lots of machinery, you kind of get that impression. I walked from the middle operations compartment. I stepped through into the bow compartment, and it was silent. And it took me a second to realize what was wrong. I instantly realized something was wrong, but what? No recirculation fans, no water flowing, no one else was around. It was wrong. Talk about going black. We lost all power to the head end in Corsicana. No internet, no TV, no receivers, no fans, no air conditioning. I opened that door and it was like, same thing. Now, imagine what John just experienced when Christ broke that seal and all of heaven, which is 10 times, 100 times more than what any of us have probably experienced. And it's silent for 30 minutes. Probably not even crickets. I think that's a very good question.
Because the men got there first.
Pardon?
Because the men got there first.
Ladies, you're more than welcome to correct him as necessary.
and when they had to, take the station offline, it was so deadly quiet that all of us would load our kids up and take them to town because they would get so restless that you couldn't calm them down. Weird.
Yeah. When you suddenly lose that background noise that you just become so accustomed to, and so all of a sudden, silence. So question is why? And no, I don't think it was because the guys got there first and the ladies were 30 minutes behind. I don't care what Baptist preacher tells you that joke, even though it's kind of funny in a way.
I really think they did that to get everyone's attention. Because when that happens, it's like you said, you go,
It's quiet before the storm.
Quiet before the
Yeah.
storm, that could be.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm